welcome back. We're talking about Change Your Brain, Change Your Grades here with Tana and also Chloe. We're so excited to be with her. This is lesson 3. And, one of the big things, and I know you've been tortured by living in our family for a very long time, when you used to come at Sunday school and put a donut in my face and say, hey, look what they gave us for Sunday school.
I'm so
great.
evil.
Great. Go to get your soul fed, and those people were trying to kill you. Food is so important
It is.
to learning. And we wonder why there's a skyrocketing increase in ADHD, but all you have to do is look at school lunches.
This is one of my pet peeves. When I would be taking you to school in the mornings and there's across the street, and I understand. I mean, I get it. People are busy. We've got 2 parents working now and they're dropping their kids off early to school, and I'd see them coming out of the grocery store across the street. There's a bakery inside the grocery store, and they're walking out with donuts and bagels and muffins. And these kids, what frustrates me about it is this. Most people may not have known, but these kids are getting in trouble. And I knew some of these kids, and they're getting in trouble. They're getting calls home. They're saying, they're getting labeled as problem children. They're on the list all the time, and they're getting, they're going to the doctor and being told they have ADD and learning problems, which they may, but no one is telling them, change your diet. Okay, these kids should not be having sugar and simple carbs for breakfast, right? If you got ADD especially.
So I didn't learn anything about
16
this in
hours, right?
medical school.
Right.
So out of the 80,000 hours it took me to become a psychiatrist and a child psychiatrist, I had 16 hours
Right.
of nutrition and not one lecture on how food affects your mind. But what taught me, and this was the mother of an autistic child, is when I took him off gluten and dairy, the next week he had 50 words.
Right.
And it's just, there's a huge connection between how you perform in school and the nutrition going to your brain.
Well, and it frustrates me when people start to have this argument. It's like they'll start with, calories are calories. Really? We'll tell that to a diabetic. Calories are not calories, right? They're just not.
Nobody knows what that means.
Okay, so
She's a little bit of a nerd, so she kind of assumes that everyone else is a nerd.
diabetics cannot just go eat a bunch of sugar and simple carbohydrates because it's going to jack up their blood sugar. They can't do that because they don't have the insulin to process it, right? And then they have to go take insulin. So calories are not calories. If they eat correctly, then they need to take less medicine. So calories are not calories. And if you have ADD or you've got a learning problem, it's more important that you eat really healthy. Not more important than a diabetic. It's more important. It's just more important overall.
It's important.
Right. That you eat really healthy, because when you have ADD, your frontal lobes are sleepy. Okay. The last thing you want to do is go eat simple carbs and sugar, which are going to drop your frontal lobes more. It's actually going to affect serotonin and drop your frontal lobes. You want something like protein in the mornings, because you want protein and healthy fat, which is going to increase dopamine, which helps you focus. It also stays with you longer and balances blood sugar.
So in Change Your Brain, Change Your Grades, we talk about brain types. So we've already brought that. And Chloe's a type 3.
Yeah, she doesn't do well on
her
high protein
brain
diet.
is really busy. And if she would go on the Atkins diet, on a really low carbohydrate diet, she would become
I
unhappy.
tried keto just because I wanted to try it, because I am one of those people who's like, just might as well try it, right? I was not a happy person.
She overfocused on everything that bothered
Let her
her.
talk about it.
Yeah.
So
Were you dating Michael when you tried keto?
Oh, no, I wouldn't. Well, I still wouldn't be. No, I was not nice. But I've had to kind of balance it out, because just like not everyone learns the same, and not everyone studies the same, not everyone's function is the same as far as organization and that kind of stuff. Well, not everyone has the same diet, which optimizes
Totally true.
their productivity. So a high protein diet, low carb, does not optimize my productivity. I don't get as much done. I'm cranky. And
Matches her brain.
I'm also active. I'm very active. I do like 3 different sports. But there's healthy carbs and there's unhealthy carbs, right? So just loading yourself with a bunch of sugar, I crash really fast. That doesn't sustain me throughout the day with school and with all my sports and that kind of stuff. So sugar doesn't work with that. Obviously, I've had to experiment at what works best for me. I can't go with no carbs. I'm just not that type. But there's healthy carbs. She has amazing desserts and aerobics and stuff like that. We make muffins and cookies and brownies that are healthy, but that fulfill that need for me. I need carbs, and I'm happier.
You're also a little veggie queen.
But
So
also,
this
but also
is-
vegetables and protein and
So this is really important.
And that matches your brain.
Knowing your brain
Yeah.
type. So Chloe's a type 3 where her brain is busy. If we just put her on a high protein diet, she would concentrate
busier.
more
And my anxiety
on the
gets much
things
worse.
that upset her.
Right.
As opposed to Alize, who has a sleepy brain, and she might do really well
Right.
on a higher protein, lower carbohydrate
So-
diet. So in the book, we talk to you about how you know your type, what are the right things for your type. But the reason I think that mental health problems in kids is skyrocketing is the ease of fast food restaurants and processed
Well,
food.
and everything
There's
is
a
sugar
study-
and red food dye or food dyes.
There's
and
a study in Australia where they looked at 2 outer islands. One of them had fast food restaurants, the other one did not. And the island that didn't have the fast food restaurants had higher levels of omega-3 fatty acids. 97% of the American population is deficient in omega-3s, which make up 25% of nerve cell membranes. In your brain,
Yeah.
25% of the fat is omega-3 fatty acids. And on the island that had fast food restaurants, low omega-3s, 5 times the level of depression.
So for teenagers, especially, because I'm adding to this because of the book. If you're a high school student or even college, I think a big reason it's very important. Educating yourself and being aware is very important. And I think a lot of high schoolers, college students, they're so focused and so aware of their grades and their school that food and sleep are an afterthought, and they don't often realize that they correlate strongly. And obviously money, those types of things, you're managing your money. And so between classes, going and running for fast food, or even at the lunch table, we have like energy drinks, like sugary everything, and
Caffeinated
candies. We have
drinks.
vending machines, and it's like that quick fix, and we're not thinking that food correlates to how I do on this test that I'm about to take. We just don't think about that because we're young and we have other priorities and other focuses. I'm surely not perfect. I'm a teenager, so it's like every now and then I'm like, okay, I'm with my friends, so it's like the fast food and that kind of stuff. But I try to be just aware of how it affects me the next day when I get brain fog and I'm like, I wonder what's wrong with me today. It's probably because I had a milkshake yesterday. It's like that kind of, it's noticing that difference and being aware of it. And I think just being conscious of how it affects you
it's very smart.
is very important. So if you went out tomorrow and you got fast food and then, you had a test or you tried to study, just pay attention. Just do a little experiment and pay attention. Okay, what is the difference?
Right.
And then you'll figure out what works for you and what doesn't. So if I went on a high protein, that's not going to work for me either. But going out and eating a bunch of sugar, that doesn't work for me either. So I found
So you need a little bit of
balance,
protein, a little
but
bit
healthy
of
carbs.
protein and healthy carbs.
One of my favorites, actually 2 studies out of Holland, showed that by changing kids' diets, they took a group of ADD kids, and by changing their diets, they improved their symptoms 70%.
70% of them actually lost the diagnosis
Right.
of ADD.
So what they
and
took out, what
was
they took
crap.
out was they took out sugar, gluten, dairy, food dyes. And there was sugar, gluten, dairy, food dyes, and corn. And so, and everyone's like, oh, there's nothing to eat. Well, that's why I wrote
There's 10,000 things to
cookbooks,
eat.
right?
Right. You just have to be
you just have to
smart
learn,
and
you
know
have to
how
be
to pick.
focused.
One of my favorite little trips was Chloe's skin started breaking out. I think you were 11. And you went, help me with this. And so remember, we went to Whole Foods,
Yes.
and I'm like, okay, your job is to pick 10 things you love that love you back.
Right.
And I taught you how to read food labels. This is what they should be teaching in school, how to read food labels. Unfortunately, she was, I don't know, in third grade, and the school district sent home a letter that basically said, teach your children that all
foods are good.
All foods are good. And when Dana read it, she wrote them a 3-page response.
I volunteered to go teach.
It's a miracle that I was the teacher's pet all the way through school. I don't know how I did it. I really,
I volunteered all the way through school. And I remember at the end of third grade, I think it was, that volunteer appreciation day. And I came walking in one day, and there were 2 teachers walking toward me, and one was carrying cupcakes and one was carrying donuts or something. And they were walking toward me, and I go, hi. They saw me, literally their jaws dropped at the very same moment. They spun around. They turned around and walked away. And I'm like, and then it occurred to me why they did it. They were like guilty. And then all of a sudden they kind of stopped and they realized what they did. And I'm like, really? And I'm like, you guys act like you're in 2nd grade. Like, what is that?
When we come back, we're going to talk about more practical tips for you to be a lifelong learner and improve your grades or your salary. We're raffling off after each episode a free copy of Change Your Brain, Change Your Grades, signed. Go to brainwarriorswaypodcast.com and leave us a comment. And in the subject line, write Change Your Brain, Change Your Grades raffle. Also leave us questions and comments.
If you're enjoying the Brain Warriors Way podcast, please don't forget to subscribe so you'll always know when there's a new episode. And while you're at it, feel free to give us a review or 5-star rating, as that helps others find the podcast.
If you're considering coming to Amen Clinics or trying some of the brain healthy supplements from BrainMD, you can use the code podcast10 to get a 10% discount on a full evaluation at amenclinics.com or a 10% discount on all supplements at brainmdhealth.com. For more information, give us a call at 855-978-1363.